Okay, so without further ado, I will hand you over to our presenter, Kathlene from Spark Policy Institute, so we can dive into the Farm to School Evaluation Toolkit. Lynn?
Thank you, Sophie. I really appreciate all of you who are joining us today. We're really excited to be able to share this upcoming training that we're doing with our Farm to School Evaluation Toolkit, and you all are on our very first webinar overview, so thank you so much for joining today. A little bit of background about the origin of this. My name is Kathlene, and I am the lead staff for the Colorado Farm to School Task Force. The task force was legislatively mandated in 2010 and consists of 15 appointed members. Widespread evaluation of farm to school programs was one of the gaps that was identified by the task force in 2012. So in 2013, the task force, along with Spark Policy Institute, developed the Farm to School Evaluation Toolkit for Colorado. With a 2-year USDA Farm to School grant, we are now able to offer the toolkit and free trainings to everybody nationwide, and we're doing that both in in-person workshops as well as, of course, this webinar series. A little bit of background about Spark Policy Institute. Spark was chosen through a competitive bid process in 2010 to staff the Colorado Farm to School Task Force. We are a national change agent organization that collaborates with nonprofits, foundations, policymakers, and communities to find innovative, dynamic solutions to complex problems. Spark provides the task force with a wide range of services, including research, regulatory and legal analysis, evaluation, facilitation, and training. The task force receives no funding from the state of Colorado. However, it has been successfully attracting a wide array of funders, starting with a federal ARA stimulus grant. In year 2, the Colorado Health Foundation, in partnership with our Colorado Foundation for Public Health and the Environment, provided funding. The Farm to School Food Safety Project, which is a great project, and we encourage you to go look at our website if you are really interested in food safety issues around farm to school. That one was funded through the National Network of Public Health Institutes and the Healthy Farms, Healthy People Coalition. And currently, the task force has funding through multi-year grants from the Colorado Health Foundation, the Gates Family Foundation, and as I mentioned earlier, the USDA Farm to School grant to support the national rollout of our toolkit. Today, I will provide you with a short overview of the Farm to School Evaluation Toolkit. I want to tell you how to sign up for the upcoming training notifications, which you'll actually do right at the end of this if you so desire. And last, we'll open it up for question and answers. But I don't want to wait until the end to hear from you, so we have a couple of quick polls we'll do along the way. Sophie will start the polling.
Okay, hi everybody. So in a second, you should see a polling panel appear on your right side. And the first question we have for you is, what is your role in the Farm to School programs? And you have about a minute to answer, so you can go ahead. It should be there. Okay, I still see some responses popping up, so we'll wait a few more seconds. Okay, it looks like most of you have answered, and I'm going to go ahead and post the results there in the same portion on the right side of your screen. Oh, it's still waiting for you to submit your responses, so you still have 5 seconds to get them in. Okay, great. So it looks like about 20% of you are the leader of a farm-to-school support organization. Others of you are members. There's a lot of people in school food services, some garden leaders. We kind of have a wide array of people. All right, we got one more poll for you right now, and it should again appear on the right side. And the question is, what farm-to-school activities are currently happening? Okay, we have about 10 seconds left, so go ahead and finish your answers. All right, again, the results should appear there on the right side of your screen. Wow, it looks like a lot of different activities are happening here. So we have a lot that purchase from local farms, a lot of school garden activities, school garden curriculum, in-class nutrition education, using produce, and evaluating farm to school, so that's great. Even some youth farmers markets, which is kind of an up-and-coming thing. So great. I'm going to hand you back to Lynn.
Thank you, Sophie. So we're pretty excited to see the wide array of activities that are happening. And what I would tell you right now is that every single one of those activities that were listed and more can be evaluated through our toolkit. But before we get into that, I want to really just give you some ideas of why would you evaluate. So reasons that you really want to evaluate can be summed up into three different ways of thinking about evaluation. The first one is program improvement. And this is often the reason that evaluations are conducted. You may want to understand how to improve your farm-to-school program overall, or there may be a specific component of the program, including improving a process, or you're really concerned about a particular outcome of that program that is most interest to you. The second reason is what we call demonstrating the program's success to stakeholders. Information for stakeholders is important because to build a robust farm-to-school program, you really need the interest and participation of many different stakeholders. Evaluation results are a great way to share that information with your parents, school leaders, producers, community members, even public health departments, in order to build their understanding and support for the program. And then finally, evaluation is often a requirement of your funder if you have received a grant to support your farm-to-school activities. Evaluation can also support your effort to secure a future grant. So, for example, showing a potential funder how a pilot program, maybe a school garden at one of your elementary programs, is resulted in increased student knowledge about nutrition can help you make a compelling case for expanding that program to additional schools. Now, you may be thinking that you're interested in more than one of these purposes. Well, that's great. The Evaluation Toolkit can help you figure out which of these purposes make sense for you and also which are realistic to address and which ones you should do first. To give you a little bit of an idea, to make it a little more concrete, I'm going to walk through several different examples of farm-to-school evaluations that have been conducted. The Edible Schoolyard Project in Berkeley wanted to evaluate their school garden for program and improvement and to demonstrate the success of the model to stakeholders and funders. They wanted to do it all. In the evaluation, they measured changes in students' knowledge of garden cycles, eco-literacy levels, and academic achievement comparing students in their garden program with students not in the program. The evaluation demonstrated that their students participating in the garden program had a greater understanding of garden cycles, higher eco-literacy scores, and increased academic achievement in math and science. I have to tell you that last component is a very compelling reason for continuing these kinds of activities and has really made this a fundamental component of the Edible Schoolyard project work. The second example is what we call placed weight studies, and these have actually been conducted throughout the country and are often used to demonstrate program success to stakeholders. These studies examine what students are eating and not eating in the lunchroom. They are able to learn things like, on average, students were eating more from the salad bar, and they received 63% more servings of fruit and vegetables than those students who were just choosing the hot lunch meal and not eating from the salad bar. Another example actually comes from the states of Washington, Oregon, and California. These districts wanted to monitor participation rates in their school meal programs, and they were watching how changes in the foods served also changed that participation in their meal programs. So, for example, in California, the school lunch participation rates increased 4% among their free and reduced population kids and almost 9% among their paid students during the 5-month window when they began serving local food. Some of these programs also analyzed the cost per meal and changes in overall costs resulting from increased participation and the increased meal costs of using local foods. These are all incredibly important ways for food services to understand how local foods can really fit within their cafeteria meals. And the final way is one that I think we often don't remember we should do, but farm to school ultimately starts with the farm. And so evaluations that explore, for example, the financial and non-financial reasons that producers are participating is another example of a farm to school evaluation that you can do through the Evaluation Toolkit. In this particular evaluation, it was conducted to demonstrate program success to stakeholders. One evaluation found that for 6 producers who were selling to schools, that the profits and quantities that they were selling to these schools were actually too small to really contribute to an overall profit margin for them, but because the program's values were in line with their own values, these farmers were committed to making the program work, and they saw benefits beyond the financial bottom line of just selling to the schools. Moreover, they found that their farms had more name recognition among the community, which they believed could translate into more sales at farmers markets or in CSA subscriptions. So those are 4 examples of how evaluating actually has very concrete and tangible outcomes for program improvement, for sharing with your stakeholders, and for your funders. So let's take a look at what the Evaluation Toolkit contains. First, each of you should have a copy of the overview and steps. That was one of the downloads that you could do at the beginning of this webinar. In the upcoming webinar trainings, we're actually going to be digging in deep on each of these steps. The toolkit also has a template for creating your own farm-to-school evaluation plan. In the first webinar, we're going to introduce you to that template. The toolkit also provides clear guidance on outcomes, measures, and instruments that you can use to collect your data. And there are appendices that cover a couple of important topics. For example, you can read up on how to approach your local university or community college, where you can entice them to bring free research assistance to your evaluation efforts. You can also learn how Common Core standards align with the farm-to-school outcomes and activities. Currently, there are 45 states that have adopted the Common Core standards, and for those of you who want or need to demonstrate how the farm-to-school program is meeting academic needs of your students, you'll have a clear guidance on which activities should be evaluated to show this kind of student learning. So now let's take a look at the 5 upcoming webinars. Webinar number 1 will walk you through how to develop your evaluation plan. We'll discuss in more detail the purpose of the evaluation and how that determines much of what you'll select in that evaluation plan. We'll, for example, discuss how to determine and identify who should be on your evaluation team. You're going to want a team. It's not just you. And you're going to learn how to identify what existing data already is out there, because you know what? You don't want to have to collect everything, and there's a lot of data you can use that can be very valuable to demonstrating what's going on in your farm-to-school activities. We'll also go over the different types of data that could be used and collected and determine how that data can make sense for your evaluation. And finally, we're going to actually touch on how the data will be analyzed. Each of these topics are important to consider at the very beginning prior to implementing your farm-to-school evaluation. In webinar number 2, we'll introduce you to the evaluation speak of outcomes, indicators, and measures, but we'll tie each of these to the reality of farm-to-school activities and programming, and we promise it won't be too evaluation speak-oriented. We'll cover how to select and prioritize those outcomes, how to determine what's realistic to measure, and how to make sure you're choosing indicators that are capturing work that's within your control. We'll also pay attention to the purpose of your evaluation, as it is important to determine what you want to measure. Webinar 3 will cover how to choose and adapt an existing measurement tool. Our toolkit includes hyperlinks to many existing survey instruments, interview questions, focus group protocols, and observational tools. These are a great place to start with your local tool development. Because these tools were actually created for other evaluations, few of them will ever be perfect for your own evaluation. So we'll walk you through how to take those existing tools, determine what works for you and what needs to be changed, and how to ensure that those adaptations that you've done are a good way to actually collect the data that you're trying to collect. Webinar number 4 covers the data collection and analysis. This might be actually the scariest part of evaluation, especially in the analysis. But in today's world, there are easy-to-use, free, and low-cost methods by which you can systematically collect the data and conduct basic analysis of your data, both quantitative data, that's the data that's represented by the numbers, and qualitative data, like that you would get through interviews and talking to folks. The last webinar gets us to that final product of your evaluation, how to use and effectively present your results. We'll talk about the different report and presentation formats you would use depending upon your audience. What information you use and need for program improvement is very different than what you will need for sharing results with your stakeholders or what reporting to your funders would need. We'll cover each of these different types of audiences and how that changes what you would do in your presentation, in your reports, as well as presentations in front of different audiences. During the webinar series, we'll be referring to the attachments that accompany this toolkit. These attachments will help you identify outcomes for different participant groups that you'll want to measure. Specifically, a farm-to-school program touches on 7 distinct groups. So we have outcome and measurement tools identified for students, parents, teachers, food service staff and operations, producers, school leadership, and community members. Okay, I've talked long enough. I'm going to let Sophie do one more quick poll. Sophie?
Okay, hi everybody. We are interested in learning a little bit about your experience with evaluation. So I'm going to go ahead and open the poll again on your right side. Okay, we have about 10 seconds left. A few of you could still take the time to answer. All right, so it looks like a lot of you, almost half, have participated in an evaluation and have conducted an evaluation of any type. Fewer of you, but still some, have participated in an evaluation for farm to school, and actually 16% of you are currently conducting one right now. For the 5% of you that are scared, don't worry, that's what this whole webinar series is about.
Great, thank you so much, Sophie. Okay, let's move on to the very end. So we are pretty excited to be able to offer this. For some folks, continuing education credits is a nice way to demonstrate to your professional associations the value of the effort you have put into taking this training series. In order to receive these continuing education credits, you would have to participate in all five of the webinars, and you would have to take a pre-test and a post-test. But if you've done this, then we would be able to submit your name to receive continuing education credits. Currently, we are able to offer them through Metropolitan State University of Denver, and what they do is they can provide half a credit hour of credit for doing 5 hours of work, this is the standard. You normally get 1 credit for 10 hours of work. And this university credit is accepted by many professional associations and includes a certificate of completion. We're also, just so you know, we're looking into additional credits, continuing education credits through specific associations, and we hope to be able to share that information with you very soon. All of you should have received this handout either prior to the webinar or at the beginning of our webinar. It's actually a nice summary of the toolkit, and it includes those fun little QR codes that you can scan with your smartphone to sign up online for the webinar with your phone, and you can also download the toolkit using that. And of course, we also have the URL to just get straight to the website. And you can go there on that particular part of our website, and you can download the toolkit now, and you can also sign up for the webinar trainings. And that basically wraps up today's webinar. We hope to have you join our Farm to School Evaluation Toolkit webinar series training. To ensure you don't miss these opportunities, please sign up for the notifications of the upcoming trainings. And if you are ready to go, we have the ability for you to sign up today to either of our 2 fall trainings. So we're offering them 2 times this fall. The first one will start on September 4th, and the second one starts on October 23rd. If you, when this webinar ends and it closes out, it will jump you to this SurveyMonkey URL that you see at the bottom of this slide, or you could type that in now and go and sign up for those trainings. We hope to see you in our webinar trainings, and if you have any questions, please do contact us. And right now, I'll open it up for Q&A. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in our chat box. So a couple of people have noticed that they were having a hard time downloading our handouts for the webinar. I think maybe the best way to do it, if the links don't seem to be working by clicking on them, is to try and copy and paste them into your browser. And if that doesn't work, then I guess type them, but I think one of those methods will work. Okay. Oh, do you currently, so here's a question, do you currently offer MCHES credit through NCHEC? I have to tell you no, and also you have stumped me with your acronym. Can you type that acronym out, and we will be more than happy to pursue if it's possible to do credits directly through them also. Another question is, will there be tools and tips to evaluate efforts on a statewide basis? So the toolkit will provide some guidance on how you go about doing evaluation on different kinds of policy and practice changes. And from that standpoint, while that could certainly be at a district level, for example, it can also be at a statewide level. And so those kinds of evaluations can be done through the toolkit. There's ways to adapt the types of instruments that we have already found to do that. If you're thinking about doing an evaluation statewide over multiple districts, that actually would be very interesting, and I believe we could definitely help you think about how to do that also. Another question, will all of them be a combination of phone, internet sessions such as today? Yes, it will be. And the reason is that we have found that it works, it actually works better than having a combination of people who are listening on the webinar and people on the phone. And some people don't have webinar connections that are fast enough to do the audio through the webinar system. And so we've chosen to use just the audio through the phone system. Another question, what is the relationship of the evaluation toolkit to the evaluation toolkit that the Farm to School organization is currently developing? That's a great question, and I really appreciate it. The framework that the National Farm to School network has released and has been developing for the last year or so is a fabulous tool to be able to think about the broad issues and the key kinds of measurements that we really need to be doing to better understand farm to school in the collective. That particular framework is well supported by our toolkit. The framework itself does not identify instruments or particular detailed measures and measurements by which you would take a look at specific outcomes that they are identifying as very important in the framework. We've actually been working with the network, and this is a good marriage between the two. Another question, how do I sign up for the webinars in the future, and can I share this toolkit and the webinar registration with our strategic partners and professional development attendees? Yes, yes, yes. Please share wide, share far. All of this is free, and we will be doing it for the next 18 months with the funding from our USDA Farm to School grant. You will be able to sign up for the webinars in multiple ways. You will get directed immediately after this webinar to a survey link that will take you to it. You could automatically just go ahead and copy that link and say, put it into a Word document so you've got it, and then go ahead and click on it so you can register. Share that survey link. We will also have the survey link available to folks on our website, the Colorado Farm to School website. The USDA Farm to School will be advertising it. A number of our partners will be advertising it, national partners, including the Edible Schoolyard Project. And if you go and sign up on notifications, again, at the Colorado Farm to School website under the Evaluation tab, if you sign up for notifications, you will receive notifications each time we have a new series being launched. You will see the notification of how to sign up. Will the webinars be archived and accessible online for people who cannot join the live webinar, and if yes, where? Great questions. I love your questions. Makes me think about the talking points I should add in the future. Yes, we are going to be archiving them, and links to the archives will be on several different partner websites. So the actual archive will be on the Colorado Farm to School YouTube channel. That will be available as a link on our Colorado Farm to School website, again, under the Evaluation tab. Our Farm to School partners, including USDA Farm to School, the Edible Schoolyard Project, the Farm to School Network, a variety of different organizations will be having hyperlinks to our archived presentations. Okay, wow. Well, thank you so much for great questions. And I am so excited to be able to offer this to you. I believe that we have answered all of the questions. We will, by the way, look through and make sure that we have answered all of those questions. And please, when I end this webinar today, do sign up for our training series. We are really looking forward to seeing you. Thank you, and have a great day.